Okay, we've all been there. We think we know what we're doing, but in reality, we look crazy on the streets. Okay, this video is not meant to be offensive or insulting whatsoever, because let me tell you, I was one of those people that overdrew her eyebrows and overdrew her lipstick and didn't apply foundation correctly, and it was just mismatched and everything was looking all bad. And I was horrible at blending my eyeshadow. Let me tell you, I've had a lot of problems with my makeup in the past before I learned how to actually do makeup correctly. Just take this as me trying to help you, you know? Help you not look as crazy as I did back then. I'm barefaced and there is absolutely nothing on my face, no moisturizer, no nothing. I'm going to show you in this video how to avoid looking like a clown. That's like the best way to put it. I don't know what to tell you. It's on one half of my face, I'm going to do what you're not supposed to do. The other half, I'm going to show you how it's done correctly. So hopefully that'll be like the best way for you to understand and get like a side-by-side view of what looks better and what doesn't look good at all. I'm going to do a full walkthrough so that you guys can actually see what I'm doing while I'm doing it and have me talk about it as I'm doing it. I don't know, it's just easier for me to explain to you that way, I feel. So I apologize if this video is a little bit longer than we all would like, because that's always how it happens with my videos. So I don't know. Hopefully this helps you, and please keep watching. The first step that you want to take is moisturize. That's the most important step because that's what's gonna keep your face safe and moisturized and, you know, fresh while you're putting on all this makeup on your face. So the first thing that I'm going to use is my moisturizer, and this is the Pura moisturizer. I'm going to talk about this in another video. I'm going to do a full review video on this brand itself, but let me tell you, just as a prelude, best moisturizer I've ever used. Ever. So the first step in makeup is face. So that means that you want to prep the face for everything that you want to put on it. So for the wrong side, I'm not going to put anything on my face because I'm just going to leave it dry and not moisturized, nothing. And then you're going to actually see the difference of how this side looks compared to this side. Okay, so first I'm going to apply this on this side. This is going to be the good side and this is going to be the bad side. So let's do this. Okay, next step is to prime. That is what's going to create a canvas for your face, and that's what's going to help your makeup stay on all day long. So it doesn't matter what kind of primer you use. It could be cheap, it could be more higher end. The one that I like is the Benefit POREfessional. I think that it's a very good investment just overall. It's a really good primer. It's not too expensive, but it is on the higher end side, but I mean, you know, it's good and it lasts a while. If you don't like to buy higher end and you like more drugstore type things, the Pore Eraser by Maybelline is also very good. So that's what I would recommend for people who can't afford the higher end or would prefer the drugstore products. So I'm just going to apply the primer on my face, or on this half of my face. So for foundation, you want to make sure, you want to make absolutely sure that it matches your skin tone. You don't want to get a shade too dark or too light, which is why you cannot order your foundation online unless you are absolutely positive what shade you are. I've made the mistake so many times of getting foundation or like wearing powder that's way too bright for my face, and I literally looked like a clown. Like, my face was white, the rest of my body was dark. For the good side of my face, I'm going to use a foundation that I know matches my skin, and that is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. I've just been using this one like every single day lately, which I shouldn't be because it's so freaking expensive, but I've just been using this one and it matches my skin perfectly. So I'm just going to dab that on. And another thing, when you're applying foundation, the best way to apply it is to dab it on with your fingers, like in little dots like I'm doing, and then blend it out. And then you want to make sure that you get the neck, because the neck is what you want to match with your face. I don't know, I'm trying to explain it in the best way possible. And then you want to do like swirling motions with a brush, with a stippling brush, most preferably. I would prefer the Beauty Blender, but a lot of people can't afford the Beauty Blender, or some people just don't like it because they think that it absorbs too much product. I love it, and I don't know. I just prefer the Beauty Blender, but a stippling brush is a very good brush to blend out your foundation. And you want to make sure your foundation is completely blended. If you have dry skin, you do not want a matte foundation. You want a dewy foundation like the Giorgio Armani one. If your face is oily, do not get a dewy foundation. It's going to make your skin look so shiny and oily and greasy, and that's not what you want. But now for this side, I'm going to apply a foundation that is way too light for my skin. Like, as you can see, it's way brighter than my body. So I'm just going to apply that, and I'm going to apply it kind of, you know, messy, and I'm just gonna apply it with like this kind of flat brush that I never normally use ever for foundation, and I'm just gonna like brush it on and just like not even care about it and not even care how it looks, even though this is killing me. And then I'm not going to blend it on my neck, because a lot of people a lot of the times make the mistake of not blending out the foundation down to their neck, and that's the worst thing you could do. Yeah, so you could clearly tell the difference now. This side is normal, this side is cry cry. Next, we are going to work on concealer. You just want to like apply it like a little bit under and not go way too far. Some people draw like a big ass triangle and like really highlight if they have really dark circles. I don't like to do that because I feel like it makes it look way too fake. I just like to go down to maybe the middle of my nose and then come back up. And you know, some people go like that and then they go all the way up like that, and then they just go like that, and then that's just like doing way too extra for me. People just go way too far sometimes with concealer, and that's gonna make your face look more cakey, in my opinion. Okay, so the best way to blend it is to use your finger and then blend it out with a beauty blender. So that's what I'm going to do for the good side. And then I just cover like the area that I did, because as you can see, it's already expanding. So that's why you don't want to use too much, because then it's going to go, why is there a fly in my room? Yeah, for this side I'm going to use the finger, and then I'm going to blend it out a little bit with my stippling brush, which I don't normally use. I'm not really used to this. I usually use a beauty blender, but this actually works well for me too. And then this side, I'm just going to take that same foundation brush, that grimy foundation like paintbrush, and just not even blend this out, because people also make the mistake of not blending everything out correctly, and then it's going to look crazy. Obviously, this side is going to be an over-exaggeration of how people actually look. This is just my demonstration of what not to do, as I need to disclose everybody's makeup style is different. Do what makes you happy. If you like it, then no, like, screw everybody else, you know, who cares what people think. This is just me trying to help people who want to know how to apply makeup properly, you know what I mean? But hey, if you like bright concealer and, you know, overdrawn eyebrows, do you, girl. Next is powder. So for a powder, you want to make sure that you are getting a powder that works well with your skin tone. Again, not one that's too bright or too dark, because if it's too dark, it's going to look crazy. If it's too light, you're going to look like a clown, and it's not what you want. So for this side, I'm going to set it, and I'm going to overly set it with a translucent powder. Okay, so for the powder, I'm going to use the e.l.f. translucent powder, the high definition one. I can't talk today. And I'm going to overly set my foundation. Like, I'm going to put so much powder on there so that it looks cakey, because I see this way too many times. Girls just look so cakey when they apply their powder, and it's like clearly too much powder, and it's just like, girl, you don't need that much. You don't need it. So I'm just going to take a big old powder brush and just go for it. Yep, and just keep on, keep going, because this is how I used to do it. I used to apply way too much powder in my life. Okay, so you could clearly see that this side is way too bright. So now for my good side, I'm going to use the powder that I use all the time, which is the Ben Nye Banana Powder. It's a yellow powder, but it goes very well, and it sets very nicely with darker complexions, I feel. And then I'm going to apply it only on the areas where my face has a little bit more shine. So that's like in this area right here, and then like my forehead a little bit, my chin, and like not even the sides of my nose. You don't need a lot. want, because if you put too much, it's going to look way too cakey. And then I'm just going to take a tapered brush like this. This is from BH, and I'm just going to take a tiny little bit and definitely flick a lot of it off, because you don't need a lot. And then I'm just going to lightly apply it. Lightly apply it in those areas that I said. Okay, and that's literally all you need. You don't need a lot of powder. Okay, next is bronzer. Bronzer, bronzer, bronzer. Bronzer is very dangerous, people. A lot of people overdo it and they don't use the right bronzer color type for their skin. If you're tan, you do not want an orange-based bronzer. That's the last thing you want, because it's going to show up orange on your face. If you're lighter, this is going to be fine for you because it's going to create that shadow that you want. But on a tanner or darker complexion, it's not going to look like that. It's going to look like you have bronzer, and that it's like clearly blotchy bronzer on your face. So I'm going to just take a regular brush and clearly overdo it and just apply it everywhere I can. And you're gonna see it's gonna look orange. It's gonna look way too orange for my skin. And I'm just completely overdoing it, just so you know. Now that I look crazy on that side, I'm going to do the other side. Now, for the correct bronzer, if you're tanner or you have a darker complexion, you want a bronzer with a cool gray toned base. So, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. You have to look at it to be able to tell, like, for yourself, but you'll be able to tell the difference between an orange-based bronzer and a gray-based bronzer, because they're clearly different types of brown. I don't know if you could tell between these two, but you could tell that this one is more brown, like really brown, and then this one is more like, you know, ashy brown. So that means that there's gray in there, because, you know, you associate ash with gray, and you want a cool-based bronzer for your face for it to look natural, like a natural shadow, and like you're naturally darker in that area. And what I do, and not a lot of people do this, and you don't have to do this, you can use a brush that you feel more comfortable with, but I like to use a fan brush to apply my bronzer, because I don't know, I feel like it just shows up on my face so naturally, and I don't get too much product on my face, and it looks nice for me. It shows up really well. So I just took a little bit of this bronzer. The first bronzer that I used was Refined Golden by MAC, and the second one that I'm going to use is the Chocolate Soleil bronzer by Too Faced. Love this bronzer. It smells like chocolate. And what I do is I just apply the bronzer on the areas where I usually contour, which means the areas where there's shadow, and that is like on the jawline, and I just go a little bit there, and that's going to create the effect to where my face looks slimmer, which is what I love. I just apply that there so it creates a shadow, and then I apply it in the hollows of my cheeks. You could see a little indent right there. That's where I go, and that's my natural cheekbone or bone structure. So I just go like that, and then I brush upwards, because if you keep going down, then like this, it's going to fall and it's going to look not natural. So I just like brush up, and I don't put too much, just like a few swipes at a time, and that's enough bronzer there. Then I do my forehead, the sides of my forehead, like my temple, and I just go a little bit. And the good thing about the fan brush is that it's very hard for you to get too much product on your face using this. So you can build it and keep going if you need more, but you won't end up with too much too soon. Next is blush. Oh, what I'm going to use is like the most pigmented blush that I have, and it's the Milani blush in Bella Rosa, and I'm going to apply this on both sides of my face, but I'm going to show you how much you should apply and how much you shouldn't apply. So I'm just lightly applying the blush on my cheek. So I'm just taking like a tiny little bit at a time and building it up. And then I just go back and forth in circle motions until I get my desired amount of blush. And see, it just looks subtle. It looks like it's supposed to be there. Like that's your natural flushed cheeks, like rosy cheeks, you know? That's how it's supposed to look. On this side, I'm gonna go ham. Because I've seen this before. I've done this before when I was like in my tween time. Don't do that. Only a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit is all you need. That's it. That's the biggest mistake people make with makeup, is that they think that they need more than they do. A little bit goes a long way. That's, for me, is the #1 rule in makeup. And that is what's going to move me on to my eyebrows. But if you guys see the pictures of me when I was younger, my eyebrows have been through it. In middle school, I shaved my eyebrows. That's why they look like this now. They will never be the same as they were before I did that. And they were so full before I did that. I was just so stupid. I don't know why I did it. I don't know, one day I just said, this blush looks crazy. It's the biggest mistake of my life, because look at this little tail. Now I have to draw them in, but, you know, I have the right tools for that, and I never had the right tools before, so I'm going to show you what I did before. Like, ugh. I used to overdraw my eyebrows like crazy. I never got it right. I always used like a brow pencil, or this isn't even a brow pencil, this is a brown eyeliner from Wet n Wild. It's like $1 at the drugstore. Yeah, but you know, what I would do is I would just go like this, and I would push it into my skin like that, and then just fill it in like that, and then I would go up top, and then, like, I didn't pay any mind to my eyebrows. I did not care. I just wanted them done so I can get out of the house and go to school or wherever I was going. And this, like, this was like the gist of what I did. That's an over-exaggeration, but that's around what that's what I would do. I mean, that type of shape. It looked crazy. What I'm going to do is show you how to apply eyebrow stuff correctly. And the #1 tool that I use, and this is like something that everybody should have in their collection. Even if you're not a makeup artist, if you just do your makeup, you need this. And this is the Brow Wiz by Anastasia Beverly Hills. It is the best tool to draw on your eyebrows properly and naturally. And it's so good because it gives you a retractable, you know, thing where the eyebrow pencil comes out of, and then it gives you a spoolie on the other end so you can brush out your hairs as you go. So it works perfectly. It looks so natural, and it's really hard to mess up with this. So what I do is I take the brow pencil, and first I make sure that my brows are brushed properly. I take however much product I need, and then I lightly, with light strokes, shape out my brow. And I go like not even that far away from the natural shape of my brow, if you know what I mean. And then I just slowly create a shape. So I'm just lightly, with very light strokes, drawing out the shape that I want, trying to get it as natural as possible, and filling in any sparse areas but not overdoing it. Again, you want to make it look like that is your eyebrow, that you wake up looking like that. I woke up like this. Now I need to work on the top, and I just like, you can see I'm going above my natural brow shape, but I'm filling it in lightly enough to where they're starting to look like hairs. You know what I mean? I hope that makes, yeah, I mean, you could clearly tell it looks more natural than this side. Just filling it in, so that there's no sparse areas. What I like to do is just brush up to create the illusion of hairs right here. You see? So I just made it look like my eyebrows are way fuller than they actually are. And you see how that looks? Super natural. So now what you need to do, which I didn't do for this side, is you need to set your brows. You need to do that with a brow gel. If you want your brows to stay all day, you need to take this step, because this is what's going to keep them in place, and if you're sweating or if it's hot outside, they're not going to move and they're not going to melt off, which is a problem that I always used to have. I never used to set my brows. I always used to use that waxy brow pencil, and every time I would sweat, it would come off, and it would just like little pieces of it would just come off, and it just looks so horrible. So ever since I discovered a brow gel, I have not stopped using it since that day. So you just want to take a brow gel. I'm using the Anastasia brow gel, the clear one, because this one is literally like glue, and it keeps my brows on even after I go to sleep. Okay, now we're going to work on eyes. So I'm going to show you what I used to do, and this is not how you do it. So for this side, I'm going to apply an eyeshadow primer. I'm just using the Lorac eyeshadow primer. It's the best one that works for me right now. And I'm just going to apply a tiny bit of that so that it covers the lid, but you don't want to use too much product because it's not going to stay on properly if you use way too much. I'm not going to apply primer on this side because I want you guys to see how it looks without primer. For this side, I'm going to use like the most crazy colors, and the palette that I'm going to use to show you guys is the palette that I use all the time. It's another great investment that is worth the money, and it's the Too Faced Semi-Sweet palette, the Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palette. The shades, you have so many nice shades, and they all smell like chocolate, and they're very blendable, and they work very well with every type of eye color, skin tone. Doesn't matter. It's a good palette. It's a really good palette. So from this palette and for this side, I'm going to use the two craziest shades. I'm going to use the blue shade and I'm going to use the black shade. I'm going to show you guys how I used to do my eyeshadow. Oh, God. Have mercy. So first I'm going to apply the blue shade. And what I'm going to do is just take that and apply half of that here. And I'm going to make it look like one big blobby mess. And then I would like go over my lid so that it covered like the whole lid almost. Like, obviously this is an exaggeration, but I used to go like above my crease with my eyeshadow. Okay, I think that's enough of that. And then I'm going to take the black shade, the blackest shade, and I'm going to use that as my outer corner color. And I'm just going to take a blending brush and just slap it on there. And this is what I used to do. Like, I used to blend it like a little bit, but then like I wouldn't do anything in the middle. You know? I would just like leave it like that. And I would make it dark so that people could see. And I would just look so crazy. So you could probably see. This is how I did that. This is how I did my eyeshadow. Not blended, obviously, and just looks crazy. Just looks crazy. And that's all I did for my eyeshadow. Like, didn't blend it. Just slapped on 2 colors and then called it a day. No, it's not what you're supposed to do. So the correct way to do this is you want to apply your darker shadows first. And I'm going to just take like a regular brown shadow, this one right here, and then I'm going to apply that with a, what is this? Like, this is a blending brush from Sigma, but it's a weirdly shaped one. It's a little bit more dense and more tightly packed at the bottom, fluffs up at the top type. It's not like this kind of blending brush where it's all fluffy all around. No, it's a little bit more packed on the inside, as you could see, more pinched. So it really helps get into the crease, and it's very good for blending. Very good for blending. So I'm just going to take a tiny little bit of product and tap a lot of it off, because we don't want a lot of product to start with. We want to be able to build it and not have too much too early, like I said earlier. So I'm just going to take that, and then we're going to start in the crease. And that's where you want to apply the darker colors, is in the crease. And what I'm doing is lightly applying that in the crease area. You know, where your eyelids match this part, your brow bone. That's where your crease is. And then you want to lightly do like windshield wiper motions back and forth, mixed with some circular motions, just to make sure it's properly blended. Now I want to apply my lid shade, and for the lid shade I'm just going to use like a nice shimmery color, a light one, and that's this one here. So I'm just going to take a regular shader brush and just pack that onto the lid. You don't want to go like that because it's not going to be as pigmented, and it's going to lose a lot of product by doing that. You don't want to do that. Okay. And then in between each step, you want to blend everything together. So I'm going to go back with that first brush that I used, take a tiny bit more of that brown, and then go back into the crease. And then blend it. You see? See how much better it looks just by being blended properly? It looks like a good job. And another thing with blending, this is something that I took years to learn. You don't want to dig into the eye. You don't want to blend so hard. You want to apply the shadow very, very lightly, because if you go too hard, it's going to end up like a gray blobby mess. And that's always what my eyeshadow looked like when I used to do my makeup thinking I knew what I was doing. And I would always say, why isn't it coming out good? And that's because I would go too hard with the blending, and it would just move all the colors around, and all my work would be ruined. So if you lightly apply it with the brush, with a light hand, it's going to come out correctly. Now we're going to work on eyeliner. It took me a long time to practice, but I finally got it, and I finally, was able to master the wing and do the eyeliner that I wanted to do. So I always used to use a gel eyeliner like this one. This is the Sigma one in Wicked. This is what I'm going to use for both sides. I'm just going to show you the different ways that I did it before compared to how I do it now. So before, I didn't even care. Like, I just went one line here, and that's like, I didn't pay any special care or attention to my eyeliner. And I just went completely above the waterline. I would just go like that, use a little bit more, and just go like way. See, even doing that now, I did actually a decent wing, so I need to mess that up a little bit. And I used to go like that, and I used to overdo it like way too much, and it would just like, it would be patchy like that. I didn't even like pay any attention to fix it because I would be in a hurry trying to get to school, and I would like leave it like that, and it just looked so bad. So bad. So that's, that's the top. And then the bottom, I would just like go under. I was a big eyeliner person in high school. I liked a lot of it. People used to call me the Hamburglar because I used so much eyeliner, and it would just melt and fade off, and and then I used to go on the inside like this and just completely slather my eye in eyeliner. So you see how crazy that looks? Yeah, that's what I used to do. So now, for the other side, what you're supposed to do, you don't want it to be too thick. You can always build as you go, and everybody's eye shape is different, so just go with what makes you comfortable. You just don't want to overdo it like this. If you overdo it, it's just not going to look good, no matter what. So what I do is I just take, this is the brush that I'm using. Oh wait, I have to sneeze. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just create an outline, and a very light outline as well. I'm going to start from the halfway point of my upper lash line and create my wing. And then I just flick the wing upwards, or the brush upwards, so that it creates a sharp wing. And then I just fill in the rest of my eyeliner on top with a very thin line. You don't want to overdo it, and then once you get closer to the inner corner, it's like you barely want to put it there. And then, like, I just very delicately draw a line on the inner corner of my eye. And you can see it created it made an elongated version of my eye, and that's what I like. And then on the bottom lash line, I just go on the waterline, and then I just fill it in. This is what I do now. This is what looks way better for me and goes better with my eye shape than that on the other side. And then I just fill it in like that. You see? See how natural that looks? Sorry if that was all just blurry. I was like changing my position. So next step is mascara. Mascara that I'm using is the telescopic. I never really got mascara wrong, except for I would just, actually no I did. I would only apply one coat and I wouldn't even fully properly apply the mascara. I would just like go like that and just not even care if it smudged on the bottom of my lower lash line. And then I would just like leave it there and let it sit and bake. And then I would just go like that. And then not even come from the bottom all the way to the top. I would just work from the top. And just not care. So that's it for that side. Now I take very, very, very special care with my lashes because they are what defines my eyes, in my opinion. They're so long naturally, and with makeup, or not with makeup, with mascara, they just look so good. And I love my lashes, so I want to pay special care to them. And so what I'm going to do is I apply 2 coats of mascara. Let me, focus that for you. I apply 2 coats of mascara, and I do it very delicately so that it doesn't smudge. And I make sure each and every hair is coated. And then the top lash line, I start from the very bottom, like the root of the lash, wiggle it up. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Making sure every single hair is coated. And then I go ahead and I do 2 coats of that. So for the lips, I'm going to use the reddest lipstick that I have and the reddest lip liner that I have, and I'm going to overdraw the hell out of this side. This isn't something that I did, but this is something I see a lot. So I'm just taking a regular red lip liner from NYX, and all the products that I'm using are going to be listed down below with the links so you could find them and get them for yourselves if you want them. Yeah, I always do that. Everything that I'm using will be listed down below and linked. So there's that for you. So I'm just gonna, I can't obviously talk when I'm doing this, so I'm just gonna overdraw this side like crazy and then fill it in with the red lipstick. And then on this side, I'm going to fill it in just enough to where it looks natural but still a little bit fuller for my lips, and then I'm going to fill that in. So this side, I'm going way under my natural lip line, just so you know. You could see that there is a difference. This side is clearly overdrawn. This side is a little teeny bit overdrawn, but it still looks okay. So now I'm just going to take this red lipstick from Gerard Cosmetics, and this is in Fire Engine. I'm just going to fill in my lips, and you're going to see the difference. Okay. You could see how crazy this looks, right? So this side is the good side, and this side is the crazy side. This is what you don't want to do, and this is what you do want to do. This side obviously looks more natural. This side obviously looks way overdone and looks like way too much makeup for one person. Yeah, I hope that my tips and trips, so I hope that my tips and tricks helped you out and are, you know, good advice for you if you're learning how to do makeup and you don't really know what's too much and what isn't too much. I hope that my advice helped you in some way. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I think that that's it. I'll see you guys in my next video, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Bye.